Get ready for Game Show Interviews.
Today's guest is a television host and producer, best known for hosting Nashville Insider. He also worked on major productions like Celebrity Apprentice, America's Got Talent, and Dick Clark's New Year's Rockin' Eve. He also created the YouTube series Hosts at Home, where he interviewed legendary game show celebrities. Adam Wurtzel is here. And now, here's your hosts, who interview the guest, Austin and Ella. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon. Welcome to Game Show Interviews, the show where we chat with your favorite game show celebrities. This person is on the syndicated TV series in Nashville Insider, as well as co-hosting the live stage game show Hollywood's Greatest Game Shows with Bob Eubanks. It's Adam Wurtzel. Adam, nice to see you.
Nice to see you too, Austin. Hey, Ella, how is everybody doing?
They're doing okay.
Everybody's doing good.
Good.
So, basically today we have a bunch of questions for you, Adam, that if you don't mind answering.
I would be happy.
First off, thanks for taking the time to do this. I know we've been trying to plan this for like a month now.
So what everybody doesn't know is that I'm on the East Coast, you're on the West Coast. I'm on a morning show, so I go to bed like super early. So it hasn't worked out. So I finally said, I'm like, hey, is there any way we could do this on a weekend when I don't have to go to bed early? So this all worked out fantastic.
Yes. Yes. Another quick behind the scenes fact before we get going. Adam thought we were doing a phone call today, and then I told him that we were doing the actual interview. I think that was my miscommunication.
Yes, it was.
So I am happy to do whatever you need to do. Or we can do, which would be the first time ever on this show, I could call you while we're on Zoom, but that would be weird, right?
Yeah. No. I forgot to mention he is also the creator of Hosts at Home, the popular, I would say popular YouTube series. You've interviewed many, many guests. Name one person that you've enjoyed interviewing.
Really, I think my favorite, Bob Eubanks is a friend. So obviously Bob was the first one that we did, but I have to say, and it meant a lot then because my favorite game show of all time is Scrabble. But in getting to interview Chuck Woolery, I mean, now that he's unfortunately passed away, I think that one means the most to me. I would probably have to say Chuck Woolery was probably the most meaningful.
Yeah. When I heard the news, I'm like, oh my God, I can't believe. And you had just done that interview like what, a year ago? Less than a year ago?
That one was a little longer than that. That was only like the third, or probably I think the third one, maybe the fourth one. It was early on into us doing Host at Home, so I think it was 2020.
Oh, wow.
I'm pretty sure it was 2020. Yeah. But yeah, it was great. And that was one of those ones where, growing up, I wanted to be Chuck. I mean, watching Scrabble, I mean, I would pretend to be him. And that's kind of that, and Bob, because I watched Card Sharks growing up as well. But I think that Chuck was the one where I watched him and I watched how self-deprecating he was and made fun of himself and how he was always interested in the contestants. And I think that's kind of where I said, I want to work in TV. So that one meant a lot.
Yeah, I love that. All right. Let's get into some questions here. First, I'm going to go about your game show career and hosting, if you don't mind.
Sure.
So we kind of already, I guess, got into it, but what got you into the world of game shows? And did you always want to be a host?
Yeah, I mean, there was really nothing. I mean, even my parents say, like, the joke that my mom and dad always say is that the first three words out of my mouth when I was a baby was dada, mama, and pyramid, because I just loved game shows. My mom, before I could talk, would put the TV on, and game shows were on in the afternoon when she decided to stay at home once she had me. I was the first born. My brother's 5 years younger. So I think it was always sort of in my blood. And there was never anything else I wanted to do. There was never, I want to be a doctor, or daddy, when I grow up, I want to ride in a fire truck. I didn't care. I just wanted to be a host. And that was me, and I think that as I got older and I realized the trajectory of the business, I realized, well, you can't just gone are the days of just, I'm going to be a game show host. I mean, believe me, I wish I was around when Gene Rayburn was a host and Jim Perry and all these greats. But I said, okay, well, what path could I take? And I saw that Wink and Bob had done radio, and that's how they became a host. And then there were others that like Bert Convy and Gene Rayburn who were, actors, and that's how they became hosts. But I didn't really want to do either of those. So I sort of said, well, I love television. Let me produce and let me work in TV and let me make that sort of my way. And maybe I can morph into hosting. And that's sort of what I did. And I still to this day, I have two sides of my career, one on air, one producing. So I still do that to this day.
Okay, cool. Before we continue any further, I want to I was trying to write a intro for the episode, and I want to just make sure that all of this is correct. So you are a television host and producer, best well known for hosting Nashville Insider and GSN Live. Is that correct?
GSN Live was kind of like a one-off. I won a competition to host GSN Live. They did like a mall tour and I was the winner, and that's how that happened, which by the way, funny story about that. I thought that was going to be like, oh my God, I'm going to host this giant show. It's going to take my career off to the next level, and it did nothing. but yeah, so I mean, I would probably say, yeah, like Nashville Insider is probably the longest running thing. That, and then, I'm on a morning show here in Charlotte called Rising, which I'm on live every morning. So that's my two biggest things at this point are that. For your audience, I'd probably say, host of the Hollywood's Greatest Game Shows tour, George Gray. Bob retired. George Gray is the host now with me. And then
nice.
Nashville Insider. Yeah, that's
okay. A lifelong game show fan. You worked on productions like is that Celebrity Apprentice?
Celebrity Apprentice. Yes, sir. With
Apprentice?
the president. We didn't know he was going to be president at that point, but yeah, Celebrity Apprentice was the first reality competition, the first show period that I worked on after I graduated college. And
oh wow.
And that was really cool. And I got really, really lucky because I mean, I had graduated college I graduated May 2007, September 2007, I was working on Apprentice. So that was, again, what I learned about TV early on was that it's really a lot of who you know. And during college, there was a show called The Colbert Report with Stephen Colbert, who now does The Late Show. And my friend was one of the audience coordinators on that show. His brother was a producer on Are You Smarter Than a Fifth Grader, which was Mark Burnett Productions. So through Mark Burnett Productions and my contact with my friend whose brother did fifth grader, that's how I got the job on Apprentice. And again, started out as a production assistant and then worked my way up. I did 5 seasons of that show.
Oh, nice. All right, let me quickly run through this. You also did America's Got Talent and Dick Clark's New Year's Rockin' Eve, and you also created the YouTube series Host and Home.
New Year's Rockin' Eve is my longest running gig. I've done that since 2010, and it's the most challenging 4 days of my year and the most rewarding 4 days of my year. It's kind of cool to end and start the year with Ryan Seacrest.
Yes. Oh my God. I want to get an interview with him so bad.
Yeah.
I feel like you have connections with that.
It's interesting because I've never worked directly. I worked directly with him on the show, but I produce all of the co-host segments. So a lot of the times I'm not with him. So when I started, it was Jenny McCarthy. It was her first year. And now for the past 2 years, it's been Rita Ora, who's also on The Masked Singer, who is just incredible to work with. But yeah, like with Ryan, it's what you see is what you get. I was very nervous my first year. And he was so welcoming, so nice. And to this day, every year, make sure to come up, shake my hand, tell me what a great job I'm doing on the show. And that's kind of a testament to the person that Ryan is. And when it says, everybody always says, oh, why are celebrities' names listed under executive producer? Ryan is truly a producer on that show. He is in the production meetings. He is in the office. And like I said, we don't spend too much time together because we're working on opposite crews, but he is such a great guy to work with.
Yeah. Ella just left for some reason. I don't know why, but
he hates me. He hates me, yeah. Austin.
I mean, she's an ant. She lives in the grass basically. So okay, she's coming back right now.
Where do you live, by the way?
I am in Austin. Censor this out. I'm in Washington.
Got it. Cool.
My headphones kicked me out. So
Sorry
yeah,
about that.
no, it's my headphones. I was trying to put in my headphones because one of my family members was going into the kitchen, and I pressed this button on my headphones, and it just kicked me out of the entire thing. I had to copy and paste the code and put it back in.
Oh well. All right. Don't forget to turn your phone horizontal. There we go. All right. Ella, do you have the next question up?
Yes, Austin, sorry.
The second
Wee-oo.
question after
Hold on.
second.
Stop. We gotta stop. We gotta stop because I just noticed that Ella's got a friendship bracelet on. Are you a Swiftie?
No, I make these.
Oh,
I
okay.
just make them because they're cute.
Very good. Good answer.
Nice.
You know, hosting live TV, it comes with a lot of surprises, man, you know?
It
You
does.
feel? What's the craziest thing that's ever happened on set?
On live television specifically.
Yes, on live television.
So I think I don't know if the answer is crazy, but it was caused quite a stir. This was maybe a year and a half ago, and I had a guest on Rising who was promoting a pickleball charity tournament. And live TV, you go, there's do a segment, and then you toss to the next segment, or you toss to somebody else on the show who's then going to do a tease to promote the next segment. So my colleague on Rising, Joe Duncan, he was teasing his Talk Truth Tea segment that he does every day. So I had a pickleball in this hand, and I had a pickleball racket in this hand. So I thought, oh, this is going to be great. I know they're going to do this cross shot where you're going to see me, you're going to see him. It's this nice wide shot. So I'm going to toss the pickleball, and it's going to go through the camera, and it's going to be this really cool look. So I don't remember what I said, but I said, all right, let's go over to Joe Duncan, and Joe, here you go, over to you. And it meant to go through the camera. Keep in mind, I don't play sports, terrible at sports, love watching baseball, can't play it for my life. Tossed it, and I hit him directly in the face. Like, so hard and he claimed he went on with the show. He claimed that he wasn't hurt. And then later on in the show, he actually was icing his
Oh no.
So I felt so bad. And Joe and I are good. Like, I mean, he knew I was doing it by accident, and we've had a lot of fun with that. But this past year, it actually made it on a blooper special on NBC. It actually made it onto a blooper special. It was on NBC. Ironically, on New Year's Eve, it was Hoda and Jenna from the Today Show. They do a blooper special every year, and they have celebrities commenting on the funniest clips of the year, and that was one of them. And ironically, I didn't watch it because I was in Times Square doing New Year's Rockin' Eve. But yeah, so that was probably that was pretty crazy. Yeah, that's the story that I can think of at this moment, but there's a chance that I might think of something even crazier as the interview goes on.
Okay. Before we continue, since that, Hoda has retired from NBC. What are your thoughts about that?
Maybe it wasn't Hoda. Maybe it was Jenna and no, I think it was Hoda. I think maybe she came back for this. I could be wrong.
Hoda left in January of this year.
Oh, okay. So it was Hoda and Jenna. I actually got to meet Hoda at the CMT Music Awards for a red carpet back in 7-ish years ago at Bridgestone Arena in Nashville, and she was the nicest person in the world. I don't really watch morning TV because I'm on morning TV, but I loved Hoda, and yeah, I mean, especially Kathy Lee and Hoda together, like it kind of I liked that because it had that kind of old school vibe of Regis and Kathy Lee that I grew up watching. So yeah, Hoda is a class act, and yeah, but everybody's gonna retire at some point.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. You've done game shows, entertainment reporting, and more. What's your dream hosting gig?
My dream hosting gig is probably Wheel of Fortune. Again, it's funny because anytime a game show host retires, when Bob Barker retired, all my friends and my parents' friends, oh, are you going to go up for that job? no, I'm not going to go for that job. I'm not, nobody know. People don't know who I am. I'm not a, you called me a celebrity, which I really appreciate. But yeah,
Of course.
people know who I am, but people don't know I'm not a big enough name for that. And then the same thing, the people kept saying, oh, you should, even my mother-in-law, who's the nicest person in the world, was like, oh, you should really try out to do Wheel of Fortune. And I'm like, in a dream world, if this was back in like the 70s and 80s where people were like traditional hosts still, where people weren't famous for doing something else before they were hosting a game show, which is sort of a trend we've seen since Howie Mandel on Deal or No Deal, where people come on and I'm like, why is Penn from Penn and Teller hosting a game show? I don't know.
Hmm.
But I think if it was back then, maybe it would have been a different story. But yeah, Wheel of Fortune or any of those sort of legacy shows like that, those classic type of games, that's kind of the dream, I would probably say. But at the same time, I've always been a very optimistic person, and I love my life. Like I love what I
Hmm.
do. I love the fact that I have like these little my career that are so totally different from each other that I do simultaneously, and I've somehow figured out a way to continue to do a show in Nashville, a show in Charlotte. Sometimes I go to LA and do stuff. So I sort of love it. And if I become like the host of Wheel of Fortune one day when Ryan retires, or the host of some major show, fantastic. If I don't, I love what I do on TV, and yeah, that's kind of how I feel.
I enjoy that energy, Adam. I really
Oh,
enjoy the energy.
I appreciate it.
Uh, yeah. Ella, next question.
What is your dream job? I know I got to
Hmm.
stop. I keep forgetting.
Yeah.
I'm so used to doing interviews with people that I can't turn it off.
No worries, no worries. My dream job. Okay. Um, let's see. If I had to choose,
Hmm.
I would want to take George Gregg's spot on Price is Right.
George. Well, George is a friend of mine, so maybe we can at some point, if you ever go to Price is Right, let me know and I will make sure to hook you up. So I
Oh,
will make sure that
absolutely.
you
Absolutely.
get
Ella, do you have a dream job?
Baker mostly, but I'm not into the game show type business. I could not make myself stand there and have to sit in front of a live audience and perform.
Austin and I are like, great, that's one less competition.
Yep,
There
basically.
Well, that's one less episode idea.
you go. Exactly.
Okay, Ella, next question, please.
You've hosted The Price is Right. We know this.
The
But
live version.
are you going to correct me? Or can I
Yes.
finish my question?
Yes.
My question is, how did it feel bringing that legendary show on a live audience, like in front of a bunch of live people?
I never hosted Price is Right live. I did
Oh, you
I
didn't?
no. I've done an interview. I did an interview with Todd Newton a long time ago on the set of Price is Right live in Atlantic City. Um,
That's probably what I was thinking of.
that's probably what you might
Okay.
have seen. I'm sure it's online somewhere. It was
Yeah.
a was for like a magazine, like a blog. It was a very short-lived job that I had. But I feel that same energy with Hollywood's Greatest Game Shows, which is a live stage game show that I do with George Gray
Yeah.
across America. So, there's something really cool. I mean, as great as TV is, there's something really cool about a live show because there's no stopping. Once you start, it's not a TV taping. People are winning real money. People have bought a ticket. They're there to have fun. And I think those moments, like before I do all the warm up for the show to start it, and there are every single time I've done the show since December 2017 when Bob Eubanks hired me to do the show. And there is a level of butterflies that I still get to this day. And it's not necessarily nerves because I'm used to it. It's just this excitement of, oh my gosh, these people are here. It's their Saturday night. They're ready to party. Some of them are a little drunk, but that's another story. And it's just such an amazing feeling that everybody is in that room. Nobody's talking about politics or any stuff. Nobody's fighting. It's just a chance to just have fun and have a party. And I think no matter what you're talking about, Price is Right Live, Hollywood's Greatest Game Shows, any show like that, you're gonna get that vibe. And yeah, it is my favorite as far as the game show stuff that I've done, my favorite thing to do.
Okay, cool. That's a wrong question on my part. So Ella, I'm gonna
Oh,
let you read the next question.
Who was thou most surprising and fun guest?
the most surprising and fun guest. Let me go all. I mean, I'm just kind of shuffling. That's such a good question, by the way, because I feel like a lot of people have asked, "Oh, who's your favorite?" And I have an answer like just ready to go. And you didn't ask that. And I'm so glad you didn't, because now I'm kind of going back. The most surprising celebrity guest. I would probably have to say Joel McHale. Joel
Hmm.
McHale was really, really fun, and that was on a red carpet. And it was surprising, because it was the red carpet for the CMT Music Awards. Not the same, not the same year that I met Hoda, but a different one. And first thing I looked down the carpet because there's all the different cameras waiting, and I'm like, wait a second, is that Joel McHale? And at that point, Card Sharks was in its second season, so I obviously watched Card Sharks, and Crime Scene Kitchen had just come on. So I'm like, oh my gosh, that's Joel McHale. So I'm all ready with my thoughts for all the country artists that I'm about to talk to, because that was what I was there for. But oh my God, what do I say to Joel McHale? Joel McHale, Joel McHale. And he comes up, and I met him, and I told him, hey, I'm a fan. I'm so excited you're here. And in my interview, I said to him, I said, I know, you've got this brand new show, Crime Scene Kitchen, but before we talk about that, I'm such a fan of game shows. And I just have to say, I love that you are at the helm of Card Sharks now, because it's such a fun show. And it's my second, it's one of my, I didn't tell him it was my second favorite. I said, it's one of my favorite game shows of all time. And I said,
Mhm.
what's it like to bring that show back to television? And he basically was like, he goes, I'm so glad you were a fan of Card Sharks. By the way, it's been canceled. So let's talk about my new show, Crime Scene Kitchen. And it was a funny, Joel McHale. I described Joel as like the first to show up at a party and the last to leave. Like he's always up for fun, and he's very sarcastic. So that I think was very surprising for me. By the way, that was before they announced the Card Sharks had been canceled. So that was also kind of
Oh
funny.
wow.
Yeah. But yeah, that was probably the most surprising.
Okay, okay. All right. What's a behind the scenes secret about game shows that most people don't know?
Okay, a behind the scenes secret of game shows. Okay, so here's one. Here's one that I didn't know until I was there in November. So I did a week on Rising, which is the morning show that I'm on here in Charlotte, and they sent me to Hollywood, and I did Up and Atom in Hollywood week. Up and Atom is the name of my segments. So one of the segments that I did 4 segments at The Price is Right, where I went to a taping. I interviewed Drew, I interviewed George, I interviewed 2 of the models, Devin and Amber, and then I did a segment where I interviewed all the contestants waiting in line outside. So, secret number 1 is that Let's Make a Deal and Price is Right are now on the same stage. They are
Okay,
right
okay.
next to each other. And I have a video, and Austin, I can send you the video if you want to see it, where I walk from set to set.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I would Austin, I'll put it in right now.
Just want to show everybody how close. This is the set of Let's Make a Deal. Just want to show you how close both sets are to each other. You just come down these stairs. And then walk up these stairs. And there you are on the set of The Price is Right. But it's literally, here's Let's Make a Deal. You walk the audience of, here's the audience of Let's Make a Deal. There's the curtains and the doors. The audience of Price is Right is right behind the audience of Let's Make a Deal. So you walk down the stairs of the audience of Deal, and you walk up the steps of the audience of Price is Right. So
Oh wow.
that is secret number 1. Secret number 2, which is not publicly talked about. In order to save time, you guys are both familiar with how Price is Right works, right? There's 3 pricing games, then the Showcase Showdown, then another 3, and then another Showcase Showdown, and then the Showcase. You guys are both familiar with that, correct?
I
Yeah.
am. Yeah.
Okay. So what they do to save time, they do all 6 pricing games first, and then they bring out the wheel, and they do both Showcase Showdowns back to back.
I did not know that.
I didn't know that either. So when you see the first Showcase Showdown on Price is Right, even though it comes up before the 4th, 5th, and 6th pricing games, it was actually shot after all the pricing games were shot. And that's just because to save time, why would you bring out that wheel and the carpet that goes on it and do all that and then bring it back and then have to bring it back out again? It doesn't affect the show in any way, shape, or form. So
Now that I think about that, yeah,
so that blew my
that makes
mind
sense.
because I'm sitting there watching, and we were kind of off to the side by the 3rd door, but sort of in between the door and where George stands. And all of a sudden, they did the 3rd pricing game. They go to break. Drew says, first Showcase Showdown's coming up next. And then they just go right into it. And it's like, George, who's our next contestant? And I'm like, wait, what? So I sort of was trying to figure it out as the show was going on. And then it all makes, and then the producer side of me went, oh, that makes a lot of sense.
Okay. Now that I think about it, yeah, why would you just bring out the wheel and the carpet to do like a 5-minute segment and then put it back just to bring it back out like
Exactly.
20 minutes later?
Yep, exactly. So they do one, and then they go to break, and he says more pricing games next, and then they do the other one, and he goes showcases are next. So that's So now you know.
Okay. Yeah, that's really epic. Ella, question.
Have you ever had a moment in the show where something went completely wrong? Like it was off script, it didn't mean to happen, but it happened.
Another good question. Let me see. I can't open a bottle of champagne. I learned that on live TV, where they gave me a bottle of champagne and I was supposed to do a tease where I was opening up, and that's online. You can see that where it was right after I'm a big Mets fan, and the Mets had just made it to the championships. This was just this past year, and I was like, yeah, everybody, we're here, we're celebrating. And I was trying to open the champagne. Anytime we drink champagne, which is really not often, my wife opens it. So I really never opened up champagne, and you just see me struggling so hard. So and that was one of the moments where that was just sort of funny. I can't think of a moment that happened that wasn't supposed to happen, because it would all be live TV moments. I'm sure there were moments where that something. I'm just trying to think. Oh, I did fall. I did a big bounce. There was a thing called Big Bounce America that came to town, and I did fall on TV, which wasn't supposed to happen, which was funny. Yeah. I don't have as good of an answer for that one, unfortunately.
No worries, no worries. I feel like did you see the interview that I did with Rich Fields?
I saw, yeah, bits and pieces, yeah.
Yeah, he talked about how he accidentally gave away a $55,000 car live on the show.
How did he? Oh my gosh! How did he do that?
Well, basically what happened was during one of the announcings, he accidentally said the price while telling the
He didn't accidentally say it. It was in the script. The price was in the script.
Yeah. It was in the script because someone didn't look at the script, and as he was reading it, he accidentally said the price of it because he was just reading off the script. The entire thing paused. Everyone paused, and one of the producers just go, "Rich, did you just say the price of the item of the car?" That's what he said.
Wow.
And he said, "Yes, I did." He's like, "Yeah." Well, I was just like, that wasn't supposed to be there. So Rich nearly got fired that day, but he didn't.
But I mean, luckily that was not his fault. I mean, that's if he's reading a script that was given to him by a script writer or a prize producer, that happens. But it does happen, and it's funny when it happens.
Yeah, absolutely. So that was a funny moment from that interview that that he
Yeah.
told us about. All right, here we go. We're gonna go into a little bit of personal life. So when you're not working, how do you like to spend your free time?
You know, I love just, my wife and I love to travel. That's something that we do a lot of. I'm not sure if you're familiar, but my wife, Carly Caramana, is a seasoned travel writer and writes for TripAdvisor, The Points Guide, Travel and Leisure, Insider, and she travels for a living. So she's always going on. She focuses on theme parks and cruises and fun stuff like that. So she's away a lot of the time. Luckily, she's here with me this weekend, but a lot of times when she gets invited on trips, she gets invited with a guest. And when I can, I love to go do stuff with her. Sometimes it works out that I get to do my segments from the road because I do Up and Atom on tour as part of our morning show, Rising. So sometimes we get to be together when we do that stuff, which is cool. Traveling is like our number one thing. Like we don't do expensive jewelry and stuff like that. I mean, we have a couple little things that we treasure, but we like to spend our money on experiences. So I would definitely say going places that we've never been, but also going places that we have been because we've got our favorites that we love to go to. If you look on my Instagram, chances are you will see a lot of stuff from theme parks. We love Universal Studios. We love Walt Disney World, Disneyland, Universal Hollywood, Orlando, all that good stuff. And I'll tie that into game shows. I still get like goosebumps when I walk into Universal Studios Florida and I look to my left and I see where Nickelodeon Studios was because despite the fact that the building they're no longer taping something there, it still looks like the same building. And there's something really cool about that.
Oh wow, okay, yeah. Uh, this episode is being recorded a week, 2 weeks after you had gone on your anniversary cruise. How was that?
That was so much fun. And that was a good example because that was a work trip, which of course turned into a fun trip where we both got invited on the same cruise. Carly got invited to cover it for what she does for her art for articles that she writes, and then I got to do it for Rising. So that was about the Disney Magic, which was actually their first ship. So it's the OG is now sailing out of Galveston, Texas, instead of out of Florida, which opens the door to a lot of people that don't live near Florida or on the East Coast to get on one of their ships a little bit easier. So that was kind of what they were trying to push. But it was around our anniversary. We've been married now for over 10 years. I can now say we've been married over 10 years. But yeah, that was a fun opportunity for us to go on a ship, have some fun. We went to an area of Mexico that isn't really touristy, which was really cool. It was called Progreso, Mexico. No relation to this brand of soup. And we just had such a blast. It was truly magical, no pun intended. And yeah,
Hmm.
thanks for asking.
Congrats on 10 years of your marriage,
Thank
by the
you.
way.
10 years.
Yeah.
And this is actually a funny story. I'm on my second wedding ring because I lost my first one in Paris.
Can we get an explanation story time from Adam?
Sure, sure. So it's kind of a wild story. We I'm not a ring. I don't wear my ring to bed as many people don't. They take their rings and their watches and stuff off. So I always put my ring just on the nightstand, and when I'm away, I put it in I wear contacts, so I have eyeglasses, so I put it in my eyeglass case, right next to the glasses. And I went to bed. I had the ring. We went to dinner. It was great. I will never forget. I was lying in bed in the hotel room watching The Simpsons in French because that was what was on the TV. And I went to bed and I woke up and the ring was gone. It was just gone. Carly wears hers, so she didn't have it. So of course I'm going, oh my gosh, did somebody come in the room? There's no way somebody came in the room because I am the lightest sleeper on the face of the earth. We sleep with white noise machines because that's just the way it is. I mean, you could literally go, Adam, and I'll be like, what? I'm awake. I'm up. So I spent hours looking around that room in broken French. I tried to tell the housekeeper that I lost my ring. If you can find it, let me know. come to find out, my wife has a fascination with haunted hotels, which
Oh God.
is again, she didn't tell me that the hotel we were staying in had a history of being haunted. So I am convinced that a ghost took my ring. Now, I'm not a very, paranormal. I'm a person where I'm all about, oh gosh, ghosts exist all around us. I think maybe they do, but that it was such a wild thing. And then I didn't have, and my first ring was just like a normal, simple, like silver wedding band. And then when I went and I got the second ring, I was like, I'm gonna make sure it's like totally different. So this one is like a black and silver. But but yeah. So that's why if you
Wow.
look at any videos of me from 2022 from 2022 and before, my ring is different. So
Oh wow.
I've never told anybody that before on
Oh
camera.
well, you hit it. You hit it here, folks. Right
There you
here. All right. Ella. Next question.
On it.
How does one maintain a work-life balance with so many other projects?
Very difficult. And I have to admit, and my advice to anybody watching or listening at home is if you don't make time, this is a phrase that I try so hard to live by, and I fail a lot of the times, by the way, because it's very hard to turn off. It's especially when you're working early hours or you're doing multiple jobs at the same time. It's very difficult. But last year I realized I was like, oh my gosh, I don't have to answer an email after 5 o'clock. I don't have to, I don't have to check my email directly. I mean, I don't have to check my email today. I did because we're doing this interview, but I don't have to go
Yeah.
on my email and check that. And um, I heard a phrase that somebody told me last year, and I literally try to live by it now. And the phrase is, if you don't make time for wellness, you'll have to make time for illness. And I really think
Okay.
that's so
Okay.
that's kind of how I try. And when I get home, obviously if something's bothering one of us or there's something exciting we want to talk about or there's good news or bad news, of course I share it with Carly. But we also try to sort of just check out a little bit when we're done working. We've got our we've got our tradition before bed when we're here. We watch one episode of Everybody Loves Raymond and one episode of The King of Queens, and then we go to bed. And it's just this amazing way to just like let loose and forget about any work and just laugh. So, I'd say another recommendation, do not watch dark TV shows before going to bed, especially Black Mirror. I made that mistake. And yeah, so I think it's just really trying to work smarter, not harder, and just be sure to make time for yourself. And yeah, and don't just accept. I mean, I'm such a creature of thinking instantaneously. Like we went to Orlando for Universal's Mardi Gras, and
Mm-hmm.
my instant thought was, I'm going to be in Orlando. While I'm there, I should do a segment for Up and Adam on tour where I'm doing this, and then we do that, and then Carly has to talk me off this ledge where she's like, Adam, stop, just relax and have fun. You don't have to do everything. So, but I also get that. But you go back to the world of Dick Clark, who I got to work with for the first 2 years of New Year's Rockin' Eve. Obviously, he had his stroke and he passed away before the third year that I did it. But look what Dick Clark did. He did in one day would do 5 episodes of $25,000 Pyramid and 5 episodes of $100,000 Pyramid. That's 10 episodes of a show. That's
Oh my
work. That's the
God.
work ethic. And also, my dad worked so hard for so long. He's retired now, but I also grew up with a dad who would get up at 5 o'clock in the morning and drive to the train station and can commute into New York City and then commute back. So it's always sort of been in my blood too. But work smarter, not harder. That's the Adam Wurtzel of 2025.
I do the same thing. I want to record anything and everything that I do for social media and stuff like
Right.
that. But sometimes I'm like, No, you don't have to work 24/7. Even though you're in school, you don't have to do your, what's the word, career on the side. You
Yeah.
just take
I
a
can
chill pill and
confirm
take a
nor
break.
deny. I can confirm nor deny what he is saying is true.
Yes, 100%.
It's look,
100%.
that makes sense. I mean, everybody, I mean, instantaneously, like I'll see a license plate that I think is funny, and this would be good for social media. Why does this license plate say whatever it does? And I'll go. I'm at a red light, and I'll be like, oh, let me go. And then the light turns green, and I'm like, ah, crap, I didn't get the picture. And then I think to myself, who cares? Who cares who get the picture? Is this really gonna matter in life? No. So
What would I do with that picture exactly?
right, exactly. You'll post it. Maybe you'll get a heart or a smiley face, and that's gonna be it.
What are you most proud of, both personally and professionally?
Personally, I'm proud of my marriage. My wife and I are best friends. And I think that, I mean, I think that all couples think who are happily married think that their marriage is the best. But we just have fun together. And I always say, like, if your best friend also happens to be your spouse, then that is such a huge win. So I'm proud of that. Professionally, I would probably have to say the fact that I've been able to hold Nashville Insider while living in Charlotte, that's something that I really didn't think was going to be possible. And I have managed to go back to Nashville when I needed to. I never I never make, you see on Facebook especially, you see people making big announcements when they move and people going, the time has come. It's now time for me to start a new chapter in life. And they make these dramatic posts. When I moved to Charlotte for the job on Rising at the company that I work for, I didn't post. I didn't post at all. I think my Facebook price still says I live in Nashville, Tennessee. I haven't lived in Nashville since January 2023. We had two places for a little bit from 2022 to 2023. So I think being able to kind of hold two jobs in two completely different cities is probably something I'm pretty proud of. And again, there's no secrets. I mean, my boss on Insider knows I live here. There's no see, and my boss here knows I do that show. It's written into my contract at work. But the other one is Dick Clark's New Year's Rockin' Eve. That is the most proud I think I ever am of myself. And I think it's important to be proud of yourself and to go, you know what, you've done a really great job. And that show, it is not an easy show to do because you're live from 8 p.m. through 106, 107 a.m. I think is our last hit in Times Square. And then we go fully to the pre-taped stuff in Los Angeles. But yeah, there's something about that show where it's so hectic and chaotic, but at the same time so magical that every year I get these goosebumps. Like at 8 o'clock hits, I hear the voiceover say, live from Times Square, it's Dick Clark's New Year's Rockin' Eve. And as that's playing in my head, I'm like, this is it. And our director, Glenn Weiss, who is one of the most legendary directors ever. I mean, he directs the Oscars. When every year he says something to us in our ear, and all the producers can hear it, Ryan can hear it, Rita can hear it, where he goes, because we do a ton of rehearsals for this show. I mean, we are rehearsing not for many days, but we're rehearsing we always start with, there's a production meeting on the December 28th, 29th, and 30th. We're rehearsing pretty much all day. And then on the 31st, we do a rehearsal in the morning and some of the afternoon before we have to go get ready to do the actual show. And Glenn says to us in our ears, all right, everybody, it's just like the rehearsals, but this time millions and millions of people all across the country are going to be watching. And when you hear that and you know that you're part of something, how do you not be proud of yourself?
Exactly.
So, and that's not I'm a down to earth person. I'm not an arrogant person in any way, shape, or form, but I think there's a difference between confidence and arrogance. And I feel like if you're confident in yourself, then you're going to get the job done.
I can confirm nor deny that it says that Adam lives in Charlotte, North Carolina.
Oh, okay. All right. So I must have changed. So I did change it. There you go. I don't remember doing that, but I guess I did.
Apparently you did, and you used to live in Levittown, New York.
Levittown, New York, which I shouted, and my parents still live there, and I will shout out Levittown very often on live TV. So my mom doesn't like to get up early. She watches all my segments afterwards, but my dad will very often watch Rising in the morning. He'll get up and watch because you can watch it anywhere if you have Roku or Amazon Fire Stick, or you can watch on our website. So my dad will watch live from New York. So sometimes when he's watching, I'll literally, when the anchor's tossed to me, I'll say, "Good morning, everybody. Good morning, Dad, in Levittown, New York," and I'll just move on. And nobody's told me not to do it, so I still do it.
It's kind of like Hi Mama May, but
Yeah,
with your dad.
exactly.
Yeah. Ella, next. I think Ella just left.
No,
She's
I'm
not
still
there.
here. I'm still here. I can communicate with you.
Okay. I need you to read the next question,
All right.
and
How
you're
do you
not
think
there.
Can I finish my question, sir?
I'm sorry.
You guys, what's your deal? Are you guys dating or something? You guys are like,
No, no.
No,
He just keeps interrupting me when I'm trying to finish the question.
all
I have a girlfriend, so
right.
Yes.
Me
all
and
right,
Ella
Ella.
going out for drinks then. I'm just,
Yes.
I'm just kidding.
All
Ella,
right.
continue.
How do you think the entertainment industry will change in about 5 to 10 years?
Good question. I think we're seeing, I mean, obviously, broadcast television is something that is not necessarily the typical way to watch TV anymore. I don't have actual TV. I mean, I watch it through streaming.
Same
Our
here.
our cable company Spectrum, which we have, it's internet, and there's an app, and you can watch it through an app on the TV. I'm pointing this way because my TV is this way, everybody. That's why I'm pointing. So yeah, I mean, I really think that the world of YouTube and people just creating their own content, we're, as far as broadcast goes, there's something called MMJ, which stands for multimedia journalist, which is just a good way of saying a reporter is also a shooter and they shoot their own segments. So we have a lot of that at different places that I've worked where people just do their own thing. I think in the coming 5-10 years, you're going to see even more of that. And I also think you're going to start seeing a lot of news, broadcast news, like, the NBC, CBS, ABC, all those affiliates. I think you're going to start seeing them saying, "Oh, our person on the street, Ella, sent this video to us," where you're going to see, it's going to be like a story, but it's going to be shot by somebody that's just a viewer. And because that's sort of the interactive, like the way that the world is going. Yeah, I think you're going to start to see, probably, I'd like to see a lot more interactive TV. Netflix has done a little bit of it where you can select. I don't know if you've seen any of this on Netflix. There's a movie called Bandersnatch, which came out 6 years ago, I think, already, and it's like a sci-fi movie, and you can select if you want, like, which option. So it'll be down to, like, do you want the main character to have this type of cereal for breakfast or this type of cereal, and you use your remote to select.
Oh,
And
that's epic.
everything has like consequences. Look it up. It's really, really cool. So they've shot like tons of scenes. So there's a lot more work that they've done on the production end. But this all might sound, as I'm saying it, I'm like, wow, this sounds really confusing. But it's called Bandersnatch, and it's on Netflix. Just look up Bandersnatch and you'll know what I mean. But yeah, I think we're just gonna start seeing, I mean, really, what is television? This is television. What we're doing right now is a TV interview. Even though it's on YouTube and even though it's done over Zoom, this is television because I could go on my TV and click on this and watch it. So what's the difference now? Everybody's a TV personality. If you are doing this, what's up, everybody? Hey, everybody, I'm on my phone right now. I'm doing TV. So
Mhm.
I really think that we're just going to be seeing a lot less of traditional TV and a lot more of phone TV, internet TV, all the same stuff we're seeing, but amped up even more.
Okay, okay. What trends or shifts in media do you find most exciting right now?
Hmm. What trends or shifts in media? Hmm.
I hope that makes sense.
Yeah. Can I come back to that one?
Yes, absolutely, absolutely,
Shifts. Yeah, let me keep
absolutely.
thinking about that one. What, because what am I most excited? I don't know. I don't know. That's a hard one.
We can come back to it
Okay, yeah. Let's come
at
back
the
to it.
end. All
Okay,
right,
thanks.
all right, Ella. Read the question under that.
With so much content being produced, what do you think makes a project stand out or get noticed?
I think talent, number one. Anybody can turn on their phone and be like, hey guys, like because I'm a foodie. I love food. A lot of times I follow different Instagram food influencers, and it's very easy to say, hey guys, I'm at Chipotle and I just got this burrito for under $4. Here's how I did it. That's boring.
Yeah.
So anybody can do it, but not everybody can do it, if that makes sense. So you got to have the talent. Um, I think so that makes things stand out, and also editing. I taught myself how to edit when I
Same
was
here. Same here.
yeah, and again, and it's very easy to go on
Liar.
You didn't Austin, you taught yourself how to edit, correct?
Yes, I did, and I'm editing this very episode. So
Exactly.
He also did take a class for it.
Well,
I took video production for it.
right, but I believe that when you really sit down on, I don't know if you're editing on Adobe Premiere or Final Cut or whatever you use, but when you really sit down and then you go on YouTube and you try to figure out how do I do this or this effect, and then you figure it out, it's so rewarding. Do you feel that way too?
Yes, I use CapCut because it's simple and like it's it's mainly for the phone for like TikToks and Instagram and
Right.
stuff like that,
Right.
but I use it for long form content.
Right.
And like whenever I learn something new, I'm like, "Oh my God, I can make this 20 times better now with my
Right.
content."
Yeah, a good edit really makes your content stand out. And that's for TikTok, Instagram, or a big budget show on Netflix or Max. It's the same. The tools are the same. If you really can make an edit good, then your show will be really enjoyable to watch. And that's why Host at Home, when we started doing that show, I don't edit my own content on Rising or Nashville Insider or any of that, but Host at Home, when we started, I edited them all. I
Oh,
edited the
really?
whole first 6, 7 episodes of Host at Home. I cut all of those, so all the graphics. I didn't make the graphics; somebody else did that. But
Yeah.
I did that, and then a buddy of mine that I was working with at the Fox affiliate in Nashville at the time, where I was not on camera, I was a producer there. He really loved Host at Home and was like, "Hey, I could make this show 10 times better and funnier." Because I'm not because he was a comedian in Vegas before he
Okay,
became,
okay.
and I was like, "There's no budget. I can't pay you to do this." And he was like, "Let me do it anyway. It would be great content for my reel." So starting with the second season of Host at Home, which again, they were all like 6 episodes in a season. We didn't do a ton. He edited them and made the show so much better.
Oh my God, whenever I watch Host at Home, it it's my inspiration to game show interviews, basically.
Well, I appreciate that.
It's basically that. Like I wanted to create this show because I love game shows, I love celebrities, so put those together, and what do you get? Game show celebrities. So I'm like, I could really make this a passion. So I got in contact with Jim Thornton, the announcer of Wheel, and
Hmm.
he said, "Oh yeah, let's do it." And
Yeah.
then just in January, Rich Fields did a interview, and now you are our
And
third guest.
I guess I have to say thank you to you, Austin, because I don't have time to do Host at Home anymore. So maybe you're the next person to do it. So I
I would
appreciate.
I would love to do it if you're down. I could turn this into a show that people can just sit down and relax and watch.
Well, I appreciate it, and I think I don't think you should. I think that exactly what you're doing is great, and you've kind of made it your own, and I think that's important as well. You really show off your personality, and yeah. So kind of spinning it back to what your question was about how do you make things stand out? Like I said, talent and editing, I think, are the two biggest things, and you've got that down.
Yes. Thank you, Adam. Thank you so much.
No problem.
All right. We're gonna go into challenges and lessons learned.
Oh,
What is one of the toughest moments in your career, and how did you overcome it?
whew. I've always been kind of an overzealous person where, and that kind of meaning sometimes I come on a little bit too strong. And I think I've just learned over the years, like, you don't have to always, I always wanted to learn a little bit about what everybody was doing.
Mhm.
And, director, I want to know how to do this. I want to know how to do that. Ooh, wow, you're the set designer? Wow, that's cool. Why did you put this here? And again, asking questions is good, but trying to do everybody's job is bad because people get very protective of their job. So I think that that's kind of a lesson learned. Now that I don't work there anymore, I can talk about it. I managed to this is crazy. When I worked on a game show called 25 Words or Less.
Okay.
I don't talk about this ever. I did the first season that I did was season 2, and that was, well, it was still COVID, so everybody was kind of working from home. So I produced 25 Words or Less from Nashville, Tennessee. I wasn't in LA. And everybody knew that I was in Nashville. On 25 Words or Less's side, there was no secrets whatsoever. But I was working full time at the Fox affiliate in Nashville at that point. And I was like, I love game shows. I have to work. I got offered the job as celebrity producer on 25 Words or Less. So I asked my boss at Fox, I said, hey, I would love to do this as well. It will not affect my workflow at Fox. That was a lie. I mean, I didn't know. I didn't even know what it was going to entail at that point. I just knew I had to work on this show.
Mhm.
And I actually did both at the same time. And
Oh,
I was,
really? You were actually able to manage it?
I did. I was able to get all my work done at both jobs, and everybody was happy. But I would be doing 25 words or less. So I would have this very computer that we're on right now had the show on the screen as it was taping. So I would be on this computer. I would train the celebrities how to play the game, and then then I'd be done, and then I would just kind of have to watch it. And then I would have on my phone, there's an app called Unity, which ironically is what I use now to hear Rising when I'm live. And we would use it to, I can show you what it looks like. Yeah, so it's this thing called Unity Intercom. And if you log in, this is me logging into the control room and at my show in Charlotte. But oh, of course, there's an error and you can't see it right now. But you can press a button and talk to anybody who works on the show. So I can talk to the
Oh,
executive producer. I could talk to, so I had the show on the screen and this next to it. And I was in the edit bay at the Fox station in Nashville producing promos at the exact same time.
oh, wow.
So it was wild. And my bosses at Fox never knew that I was doing both shows at the same time because my boss told me no. I asked permission, and I always said ask for permission, not for forgiveness. Asked for permission, got denied. My boss at Fox, I don't speak to him much anymore. If that is any indication on the type of person that I worked for. But yeah, so I was very overzealous. And look, I got away with it, but I've kind of gotten a little bit better over the years. I think, and the same thing comes, being on game show sets. I've gotten very lucky. I've been on the sets of a lot of different shows where you see props and you're like, "Ooh, I want to touch that. I want to do this." I mean, when I worked at CBS in New York, I went to Television City where Price is Right was taping, and I went into the back room. Now, keep in mind, I had a CBS ID, so I was not sneaking in anywhere. This was all okay.
Unlike Richfield's 2 times.
Right. I mean, I wasn't, but it was still like after hours, and I'm in this prop room, and there's one away, the pricing game, and I'm turning the things back and forth. And I don't think me in 2025 would do that. So I think that that's kind of the biggest advice for myself is like, don't be overzealous. Don't get in other people's business. Do your job, have fun. And if you really want to know about what somebody else is doing, ask them, but don't go overboard. And that is my very long answer to the question.
Okay. Ella,
And now the greatest part about it is that Austin can edit, so he could take all that out if he wants to.
Ella, next question.
Is there a mistake or challenge that technically in hindsight taught you a lesson?
A mistake or challenge. Well, there you go.
The last answer.
Last answer is pretty much
Okay. I'll do the next question then.
Okay.
How does one handle creative burnout or self-doubt?
creative burnout or self-doubt.
Austin,
Um,
if you made this another question, that's similar, bro. Come on.
Huh?
Nothing. Nothing.
She's complimenting me on how bad my questions are.
I didn't say how bad they were. Don't put words in my mouth now.
Okay. I'm gonna reveal a secret. I used AI to help me write some questions. That's all.
Oh, you
That's all.
you silly boy. No,
That's all. Anyways, Adam, answer.
Yeah. What was the question again?
How do you handle creative burnout or moments of self-doubt?
I prefer when Ella says the questions. I'm just kidding.
He's leaving.
I think that, burnout is, like I said earlier, if you don't make time for wellness, you'll make time for illness. I've been really trying to live by that mantra. Burnout is probably the thing that happens to me the most. I don't get sick often, but when I do, and Austin, I think I was sick when we were supposed to do this, and I was
Yes,
sick.
you were.
I go 0 to 100, where I have every issue in the world at once, and I'm still sort of a little raspy because I'm kind of getting over that. But I mean, even this week, my wife kept saying, "Adam, don't do your live shots. Don't do your live shots. Cancel them. Move them. You don't have to go to work. You have sick time for a reason." But in my head, I'm like, "Oh no, if I'm not there, something's going to happen. Oh no, what?" So I think that I'm getting better at knowing when you're sick, try to stay home.
Mm-hmm.
At the same time, I would also have to say, like, look at your calendar. If you're getting asked to do something and you're looking at your calendar and you're trying to find a place to squeeze it in, you probably don't have time to do that said thing.
Yeah.
So
exactly.
Looking at your calendar is really helpful to handling burnout. And also, again, like I said, when I go home now, I'm really getting better at shutting this down. Still, I'm not shutting it down, actually, like shutting my phone off every day, but not going on my email, not just say, I'm not going to be bothered. I'm going to just enjoy my night and enjoy my Everybody Loves Raymond and King of Queens before bed. And yeah.
Yeah. All right.
Next question.
Yes. Okay, here we go. This is our final category of questions, Adam.
Yes.
Here we go. What's one major goal you have for your career in the next few years?
Major goal for my career in the next few years. I mean, look, my goal is always to host a big national show like we talked about. Nashville Insider. I shouldn't say that. Nashville Insider is a national show. It's been on, and we're in our 9th season, and the show does well, and it's a long running gig for me. But I love country music. I will tell you here that country music wasn't my first love. Austin, you know what my first love is. We've talked about it. Game shows are my first love.
Absolutely.
So, it would be great to host my own. It really, really would. I would love it. Whether it's here in Charlotte, a lot of shows are taping in Charlotte now. Ella just went to San Francisco via her. A lot of shows tape in Atlanta now. The only game shows, syndicated game shows tape in LA now, are just Jeopardy and Wheel. Everything is in Atlanta, which is just 3 hours away. So that's a good option for me. I think that, as far as goals, that's probably a big one, which again, I don't hold that too close to my heart because I know that, other people are getting those gigs and that's fine. But that's definitely a goal of mine. And again, just continuing what I'm doing, I think I've gotten lucky to where I've never done this. I'm constantly doing this, which is great. And
Yeah.
I love the city that I live in now. I've been on Rising now for over 2 years, and I would like to. I'm starting to get a little bit more well known in town, and I'm get people are reaching out and trying to book segments with me, which I think is great. And I think there's something to be said about local news, and doing this has been fun. I hope my contract's up at the end of September, so I think I'm gonna get renewed. I don't know why I wouldn't, but where's the wood? Can we knock on some wood? Knock on wood. I get renewed. But yeah, just continuing to do what I'm doing
Yeah.
and enjoy life. It's very important. I'm about to enter a new decade of living. At the end of this year, I'm turning I can't believe I'm turning 40, which is wild to
Oh,
me.
wow. Oh,
'Cause
my God.
because I still feel like a kid, and maybe that's because I don't have children, so that's why I feel like a child. But I think that as I enter this new era, like this is kind of how I've always said. My 20s were about like having fun, partying, bouncing from job to job, whatever, doesn't matter. When I turned 30, I said, okay, in my 30s, I'm going to be smarter, save
Yeah.
money, and still have fun, but work on, do the stuff that's smart. So maybe I'm not going to up if I get offered a job working on a game show right now, as a producer for 2 months. I'm not going to leave my job. Well, I can't because I'm under contract, but like I'm not
Yeah.
just going to up and leave my job. Hence why I worked on 25 words or less at the same time simultaneously and got older. So yeah, and my 40s are just going to be about a little bit of the same, but I also want to bring a little bit more fun because again, as you get older, you start to realize, wow. And again, I'm not nearly as old as the other guests you've had on the show, but
Yeah.
I think that I think it's important to realize like YOLO, you only live once, right? So
Yes. 100%.
have fun with it. And I do want to say, and again, it's about, like I said, it's not arrogance, it's confidence. I don't think I look my age. So I hopefully, besides the gray hair, I like to think, and despite a lot of people in Hollywood, I have never gotten a stitch of work done. I have never had a one needle of Botox. So hopefully it continues that way.
Yeah, we were saying that, which doesn't look a bit over 20 when we
I know, it's pretty amazing.
when we interviewed him.
I think it's a game show thing. Like if you watch Host at Home, I remember interviewing, like when I interviewed Kirk Fogg, Phil Moore, all these Nickelodeon hosts, especially. I was like, wow, you guys look like you just stepped off the set. Like, how is that possible? So yeah, it's pretty crazy.
Absolutely. Ella from San Francisco, can you read the next question?
Listen, man, I'm only here because my aunt moved to San Francisco. Are there any new mediums you're willing to explore? This could be podcasts, virtual reality, maybe even reviewing some game developers. That might be fun.
Yeah, I've never done radio. It's interesting, and that's not a new medium at all. It's actually a very old medium. But I've always been like, huh, how come I've never done radio? And that's kind of something that sort of crossed my mind that I kind of have an interest in. I've been listening. I have Sirius XM in my car, and we listen to a lot of Sirius XM on the TV, on their app. And as I listen, I'm like, that kind of feels like I'd have fun. I did an interview for Nashville Insider maybe about 3 months ago at the XM headquarters that's based in Nashville. And as I was watching, I was just like, huh, this seems like a lot of fun and a little bit lower stress than TV. So that's something I'd like to explore. You know, the interesting thing about TV and radio and movies, I've never worked on movies, is that it kind of seems like everybody stays in their lane. Like there's radio people, there's movie people, and there's TV people, and people don't often cross into multiple genres.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't really know why, because I would like to do radio. It'd be fun. It'd be fun,
Oh
but I
yeah.
don't know how I would get into it. Like even if you go, I mean, even if you go onto a radio station website and look under careers, and if a DJ or a host is on there, it always says like, send us your air check. And that an air check is kind of just like, hey, you're listening to WFBK. You know, that's what an air check is,
Yeah.
which is the same as in TV. It's send us your hosting reel, send us your demo reel.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't have an air check. I don't have a radio air check. How the heck do I get into radio? I guess it's knowing somebody. So yeah, radio is interesting to me. Everybody has a podcast. I mean, I get it. Podcasts are very popular. I've gotten offers to do a podcast before, and I've turned them down just because
Oh.
just because I have no interest in it. I just don't have an interest. I don't listen to podcasts. My wife
Mm-hmm.
loves podcasts. My wife and her true crime, she loves those, but I'm not a podcast person. And when people say, anytime somebody's like, you got to listen to this podcast, even if it's a podcast about game shows, I go because there is something, I don't remember what it was, but I went on my phone and I went to Spotify and I looked and I went, 3 hours? No, thanks. That's kind of how I am. I need that visual. I need visual.
Mm-hmm. And that's why we upload the video version to YouTube, and then we post audio only on Spotify
Exactly.
Or
Exactly.
Patreon, but that isn't. I
or
don't know about the
Patreon. That's
Patreon.
for extra behind the scenes stuff before
Yeah.
and after taping.
Right.
So, um, yeah, here we go. The last question, and then we might have some time for a little bit of small talk. But where do you see yourself in the next decade, both professionally and personally?
Professionally, I don't know, which is interesting. Like I don't know. I didn't think I was gonna be living in Nashville, and I moved there in 2012, and then I didn't think I was gonna be living in Charlotte, and I moved here in 2022. So I don't, and for those that are paying attention, by the way, I in 2022 I lived in two cities before anybody listening or watching goes, wait, didn't he say 2023? So it's interesting. I don't know. Like I visit. I like to I like to travel. So I don't think I'm going to live in Charlotte the rest of my life. I love Key West. I love Palm Springs. I love Fort Lauderdale. It'd be fun to live in like maybe a little bit more tropical place that has some palm trees. Although we have palm trees here, but
Yeah.
you know, near water. Um, so yeah, I don't know where I'm going to be professionally. Um, it'd be great to kind of get back into game shows a little bit and do that a little bit more. Um, it would be amazing, but financially, it makes a lot of sense to be doing what I'm doing now. So, it's such an world where people think in TV that you make like all this money, and it's not necessarily the case. Drew Carey, Ryan Seacrest, hosts on big shows, they make a ton of money. Big time executive producers make a ton of money. But financially, like I'm doing better now than I was when I was working on game shows. So it's interesting how that works. So yeah, I mean it'd be so much fun to get back into the game show world a little bit more on the TV side. Um, yeah, I would love for Hollywood's Greatest Game Shows to have a few more gigs than we do. It's always fun when we get together, but it's not a full-time thing at all. We've
Mm-hmm.
talked about doing cruises where we do a Hollywood's
Ooh.
Greatest Game Shows type cruise where there's different shows every night, and me and George are there. George is
I
up
like
for
that idea. I like that idea.
yeah, so that's kind of something that we've spoken about. I'm not an agent. I don't know how to get those gigs. We have an agent, so that's something that they're looking into. Um, But again, like I said, I'm a very optimistic person and I'm also a very happy person and I really love where I'm at. So if this was it, I know this is crazy and I'm not trying to be like grim here, but
Mm-hmm.
if this was it and my entire career, like my career ended right now in TV, I would be so happy with the accomplishments that I've made.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. With all your news and game show stuff and your YouTube series host at home, you interviewed many people there.
And for the
I
people, I
I
just want
think
to
you've
make
had a
reiterate because I do get messages from time to time of why I stopped doing host at home. I started doing host at home in 2020, like during COVID.
mm-hmm.
And a lot of those episodes, like if you watch the earlier shows, you see just like a plain gray background. I was in the edit bay at Fox in Nashville while I was working doing those interviews. So I was doing those simultaneously also. So it wasn't like it was ever a job. I was always doing other jobs. And, unfortunately, the paying work outweighs the not paying work. I also sort of ran out of at the time kind of ran out of people that I sort of had my bucket list and I checked them all off.
Mm.
And yeah,
So that's the main reason why you stopped doing it.
it was work. It was just work. I just didn't have. I did a couple in 2022, like right before I came to Charlotte when I had a little downtime, and that was Bob Goen and I was in person in Palm Springs, Palm Desert, interviewing Wink Martindale. And once I did that one at his house, I sort of felt like I sort of felt like I did all the ones that I needed to do.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And
Um.
there was a few I wanted to do, but I couldn't get. Like Peter Marshall was too old to do it.
Yeah.
And, kind of computer illiterate. So like, at that point, that's kind of why I stopped. I just didn't have I didn't really have a lot of time. And in my free time, I was doing host at home at that point, like in my free time. And like I said earlier, like it was taking up too much time where I was like not having fun. You know what I mean?
Okay. Yeah.
But if you look at the
Yeah.
list of ones I did, I mean, I feel like I hit a lot. So
Yeah. Absolutely.
now keep in
Um.
mind, I want to make sure to say one more thing about host at home.
Okay.
If somebody, if Tom Bergeron contacted me and said, Adam, I would love to do host at home. If somebody contacted me and said, I would love to do an interview with you for host at home, obviously I would do it. Like it's not like it was just taking up a little bit of time with the research and the booking, all that sort of stuff.
So
And that's why you're here to do it
yep.
for.
Yep. So you're basically saying you're not stopping it permanently. You're just having a hiatus, I guess.
Sure,
I
sure.
guess.
Sure.
Right. It's not like host at home is done. It's just I didn't have there was kind of a mix of I don't have time right now and there's not that many people left. I don't really know of anybody that I really care to interview that I haven't interviewed, which is crazy. Like I've interviewed Seacrest multiple times for my show here. So like I interview him every year at the press day for Rock and Eve. So I've done interviews with him. It'd be cool to have him on Host at Home, I guess, to talk about all the shows that he's done. That one would be cool.
Mhm.
But again, it had its place. It was fun when I was doing it.
Yeah. I want to talk about one thing of hosts at home. You got to interview producer Bob Bowden. How was that? The
That
game
was
show fanatic that he
that,
is.
that was cool. I mean, that was in his house. He's got this room and he's just got props everywhere. Bob and I are friends, so that was kind of fun. We weren't really friends until after that one. After that interview, then we kind of started hanging out a little bit more. And anytime I'm in LA, I end up trying to see him and we go to lunch. Bob knows everything about every Jewish deli in LA. So we always end up going to like a deli where you get pastrami on rye. But yeah, Bob was cool. Because that one was very difficult for our videographer Darius to shoot because Bob has stuff everywhere in that room. So
Hmm.
it was the most impossible. I think Darius, because he shot it with two cameras, like one of Darius's tripods was like set up so janky, like with like reams of paper, like holding it up because he couldn't get the thing above all the stuff that Bob had, like the shelves of props and stuff like that. But all the stuff in there that he's collected is amazing. And now he's starting to give it to a museum in Rochester, New York called the Strong Museum of Play. So that's kind of cool that you'll be able to see all that stuff in person.
Yeah.
I have one
fine.
final question. I have
What is
one
it,
final
Ella?
question. How did you feel about us interviewing you?
Oh
You
yeah,
can be
good
as honest
question.
as you want.
I thought
Awesome.
it was fun. I'm not used to being interviewed. So as you can see, like there was one question, like I actually couldn't even think of an answer. Maybe we'll go back and I'll be able to think of it, but it's very different. Like you would think that this is less nerve-wracking for somebody. Like I don't get nervous when I do interviews at all. This is more nerve-wracking than doing the interview because I'm so used to being on the other side. But the questions, despite some of them being AI, like you, which was nice of you to admit, I enjoyed it and it was nice, and you guys did a really great job. So
Oh,
thank you.
thank you.
All right.
We can go back to that question that you couldn't think
This
of an
shall
answer
be
to.
the final question.
What trends or shifts in media do you find most exciting right now?
This show. That's how I'm answering it.
Yay!
Yay!
This show.
All
Boom.
right.
Oh my God, that's epic to hear. I have a couple questions that I want to ask you, not on my list of questions.
Sure.
I'll
Um,
let him ask that.
yeah. I feel like Ella would appreciate this. I'm not trying to be braggy. Don't know. Just know I'm not bragging for anything, but would you follow me on Instagram?
Yeah, I don't already.
Uh-uh.
Right now. Austin the Best 91.
Yes.
Boom, followed.
And then one thing, can you follow the podcast Instagram as well?
Absolutely not. I'm just kidding. I just followed that too. All right. And Ella, what's your Instagram?
I
She
don't
doesn't have
any.
social media.
Doesn't have
No.
social media.
No.
Not even a Facebook, huh?
Well, I mean,
We have a Two Friends Podcast Facebook page.
Very cool. Very
So,
cool.
even though we
um,
barely post on it.
well, that's because the latest episode just released yesterday, and I haven't made clips for them yet. And then this is episode 11 of the Two Friends Podcast, Adam. Just so you
Cool.
know. And yeah, I think that's all we have.
Awesome. Well, you guys did a great
Yay.
job. It's great getting to talk to you both.
Yeah, thank you. Are we allowed to stay in contact
Sure.
for any reasons? Like I want to ask you a question or anything like that.
You can message me if you've got one. I'm happy to help.
Cool.
All right.
Well,
Ella can't message me because she is not on social media.
yeah.
Yeah.
But if you have a question for him, I will. I'll message him to you.
All right.
But let's do what you do at the end of the show. I'm not the one who ends the show. You are, Adam. Adam, take it away.
All right. Well, Austin, Ella, it has been a pleasure being on the show. Thank you so much. I can't remember everything that I said. I kind of blacked out halfway through, but not from alcohol. I promise. I'm sober. It's been so much fun. Thank you guys so much for kind of letting me tell some of my story because I'm not used to doing that. I'm usually the one doing the interview. So this has been such a blast. And that's it. We'll see you next time. See you, everybody.